Jon Favreau was out there promoting The Mandalorian Grogu, but would you believe it if we said he wants nothing to do with the sequel trilogy, instead handing that off to Dave Filoni? Go make sense of it, cowboy, leader of Lucasfilm. Jon Favreau saying there's no connection there between The Mandalorian and Grogu and what happened with Disney Star Wars for the past decade. It's a great day. It's a groovy day, folks. Thanks for coming our way. The studio is shining because you're deciding to join us for yet another video of excellence. As we dive in, click the like button and that notification bell, click it and stick it to the algorithms. Folks, he's a source of nobility in Hollywood. Jon Favreau is now saying what we have told you for quite a while, confirmation indeed, that Filoni has taken over his baby. Out of Games Radar, we're covering it by Molly Edwards. Ahsoka Season 2 is dealing with higher level of Star Wars compared to the ground level experience of The Mandalorian and Grogu, Jon Favreau says. Well, that doesn't sound good, does it? Let's walk through how this happened and what's going on. The trailers released for The Mandalorian and Grogu so far have teased a low-key adventure. Oh, boy. Talk about, yay. Oh, hey, kids, you want to go see some Star Wars? Yeah, Dad, what's in it? A low-key adventure. There looks to be plenty of excitement in store, but no galaxy.
I thought he was on Marvel.
Yeah, that's a good, well played. There looks to be plenty of excitement in store, but no galaxy-shaking revelations or battles. Hey, kids, you want to go see a Star Wars movie? Yeah, Dad, what's in it? Well, no galaxy-shaking revelations or battles. Director Jon Favreau has expanded on the stakes in a new interview with SFX Magazine, confirming that while the Mando movie isn't carrying the Star Wars mythos forward, another upcoming project is. Hey, kids, you want to see something actually cool? Go watch it on Disney+. That'll work out well. Here's the quote from Favreau. Anybody who saw the sequels knows that there's a first order coming in, like 20 years from where we are now in the storyline. Can't wait for that.
Oh, boy.
And then Ahsoka Season 2 is coming out, which I've seen all of. And that's definitely more dealing with the larger picture, a higher level. That's about the officers and we're the enlisted men. This is more of a ground level of experience of what's going on. You're seeing the backdrop, which, by the way, is what the first Star Wars started off as. This is some of the worst stuff ever to promote the film. Not only is it boring, Marv.
I disagree.
It's the backdrop for the sequel trilogy. Take it away. What do you got?
I'm pushing back on this.
All right, go.
This is, don't worry, this has nothing to do with the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, okay, I agree on that.
Ooh,
I agree on that.
That's a good one. That's
what I read this as. That's Ahsoka Season 2 is going to deal with the First Order. We have nothing to do with any of that, folks. This is just Star Wars. It's a fun, it's a fun, compact story. It has nothing to do with where we're going, because the one thing everyone's been saying since they started with the M count stuff with Grogu and trying to make the clones, stuff like that, is all of this is just leading toward clone Palpatine and Snoke. And he's saying this has nothing to do with that.
Okay, let me play with that for a minute with you, okay? So what we had heard and what has now been confirmed by Favreau, and we're not going to put this up on the screen and take too long to find it, but Favreau has said recently that The Mandalorian Season 4 has become Ahsoka Season 2, and that now we have the Filoni script for what The Mandalorian is, which is this watered-down version. Marv, I agree with you. Staying away from the sequel trilogy is good. The problem is, as long as the sequel trilogy exists, and as long as we still make any kind of reference to it with Ahsoka Season 2, Star Wars is still stuck where it is, with people saying, screw this, I don't care. I don't care about Baby Yoda. I don't care about The Mandalorian. I don't care about Luke. I don't care Ahsoka, because I know where this goes and I despise it with every part of me. I hate it. Marv, why can't they just let it go?
I mean, they think that it worked at one time, so it has to work again. That is the thing that they're trying to stick with. I think that what you're seeing right now with this statement, plus the fact that they launched that Spirit jersey line for, the mystery box, get one of the movies for each Spirit jersey, but none of the sequels. I think this is a concentrated effort to just stop referencing the sequels and try to get people interested in Star Wars again by distancing from them as much as humanly possible. But when it comes to Baby Yoda, they still think he's a merchandising machine. He's one of the few profitable things that they've had in the Disney era. So
here's the next quote. It says, by the sounds of it, the future of this period on the Star Wars timeline will become clear in Ahsoka Season 2, developed by new Lucasfilm co-president Dave Filoni. Quote, Dave has grabbed the baton now with the Ahsoka show, and that's going to be taking the next step, Favreau said. There's a lot in that man's head, and I know that he takes how it all connects very seriously. Now Dave is in his new position. He's been figuring out where things are moving forward after this. He's got a lot of responsibility there. So there you go. It's all on Ahsoka. Mando's going to be just this little independent romp. But it kind of seems to me like they're taking the stakes out of this, Jonas. What do you make of it? Do you feel the same, or do you side with Marv? Maybe actually me and Marv kind of agree on this. Maybe taking the stakes out of it is the entire idea behind the movie.
I'm of two minds of this. As a person who is generally familiar with recent Star Wars, other than Andor, they really made the Jedi lame. I mean, they're truly boring. You know, we heard about this Jedi purge for years during the original trilogy, and it finally happens in the prequel trilogy. And who are the ones that got purged? Who ended in the purge? All of the Jedi that you've never heard of. And anyone that comes up, definitely not them. They didn't die in the purge. And now we are in this era of Ahsoka where it seems like anybody is a Jedi. Sabine Wren is a Jedi at this point, despite, again, being she actually did train, but the fights were so lackluster in Ahsoka season 1. I do see that they're actually working on them more for season 2. But everybody's a Jedi. In fact, there are other sects of Force users out there that aren't even Jedi. So the Jedi don't matter, essentially. And Mandalorian Grogu is over there, and it's got its own lame problems right now because the Mandalorian's going to be taking off his mask. And for some reason, Sigourney Weaver appears to be appearing as herself. So they really need anything they can do to get this as mass appeal as possible, and I think they're sanding off edges one after another to try to get people to watch this show.
I have no problem with a smaller stake story.
No, not at all.
Honestly, that's what's needed. I think that when you I don't think the Mandalorian and Grogu needs to be a universe-shattering story. I think it can be kind of a self-contained adventure that deals with the underworld, and that's kind of I think what's needed. Not everything needs to, when you try to go too big, you get that final act, you get that last act of Rise of Skywalker, which is
right
ridiculous.
where a million Star Destroyers come out of nowhere, and every ship that you've ever heard of from the Rebellion, and by the way, all of the Jedi and all of the Sith, and it's just a bunch of action figures banging around together while the soundtrack plays as loudly as possible. And it is as if AI made The Rise of Skywalker, except that it is so lame that even AI has a better job of it. Like AI and a good editor could have made a better movie than Rise of Skywalker.
I disagree with you. For Star Wars to be relevant, it needs to be as big as it possibly can be. They don't even have the cojones to make a high quality underworld story. We saw that in Boba Fett. The book of Boba Fett was complete trash.
I'm sorry. Are you saying right now that the Mandalorian needs to have universe altering impact on Star Wars?
I think it just needs to be big enough that it makes some kind of cultural impact, because Star Wars right now, and the reason we all get so angry when we talk about it, is now irrelevant compared to where it used to be. Think about the fact that this is a franchise that went away for a long time. It came back with some prequels that were mid at best. And then all of a sudden, we had even more popularity and another generation that was in on this.
Story scope doesn't help with that. Like the Rise of Skywalker was you had a fleet of Star Destroyers that could each destroy a planet. What you need is not a big universe shattering story. You just need a good story. It could be a good story with two guys sitting in a room and it'd be fine. Just gotta be good.
It has to be good. But here's the problem, right? We're already down on the ground with the Mandalorian and Grogu. There's not a lot more to develop here. There's
no character arc. I don't mean to interrupt, but this is the problem. We're coming in, so this is not. We don't get to start at the beginning. This is the end of the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was 2 great seasons, and then an awful dog food level 3rd season.
Yeah.
And we can pretend this is a standalone movie. This is season 4. This is the finale. This is it. It's over. So if it's just season 2, the end was Luke Skywalker comes to train Grogu. So if the end is we got to go do a thing that has no impact on anything. It's like, I don't know that that's the finale to something. It's a story, but it's not the finale to something.
But it has an impact on the characters in the story. Not everything has to reach.
Is Baby Grogu going to say something? Is that the character arc that impacts him?
He might. I don't know. The whole point of this was like, I'm not defending the Mandalorian. Mandalorian season 3 was garbage, but I think we're all forgetting that Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 were actually good. And if they let Jon Favreau have the wheel instead of KK in this one, I think that it's possible he might be able to turn out something good. I don't like that Pedro is taking the helmet off. I think that the Grogu ship has kind of sailed in terms of merchandising, but Jon Favreau has never given me a reason to not trust him.
Lou, let me go to you on this one, because I think that's the perfect segue to what I'm interested in about this. I think Jon Favreau's done after this. I think he might be leaving Star Wars. What do you think, Lou? Is it time for Jon to exit and get out of there?
Long past time, because every time they applaud him, they disrespect him at the same time, to my mind.
How so?
Well, because they say, oh, you're wonderful, you're marvelous, and we're going to make all this stuff that would have nothing to do with you and is totally against what you put up.
Right.
You can't keep punching people in the nose and have them say, I love you.
It feels Marvel-esque.
Exactly.
Right. He was done the same way.
He's a loyal guy. He's trying to make it work. But to me, the whole issue of whether it's a big story or a little story or whatever is one of context. When we saw the first trilogy, it was an adventure. It was an adventure, period. But now that we've got this huge universe of characters and subplots and new orders and old orders and whatever, are we watching this as people enjoying a story? Or are we watching this from the point of view of, well, we lived through it and now we're looking at the context of how it all came together? Because remember, with every war movie, with every historical movie, with every movie that takes place on planet Earth, there is a historical perspective, and there is we'd like to know the secret behind the Battle of the Bulge or Midway or whatever it happened to be. With this, it exists, as they say, in a galaxy far, far away. But it's gone far, far away from us. It's left us behind with all of these intricacies and all of this, what's canon, what isn't canon, and who was there before so-and-so. I got bored with it because of that. Aside from the fact that they were mediocre shows, in my opinion.
And it's amazing to me, Lou. It's amazing the parallel here with Marvel.
Yes,
because Jon Favreau calls Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and says, I think I can help you. He comes in, he produces 2 great seasons. And then Filoni steps in and starts taking over a lot of this stuff. On the Marvel side, it's Favreau who does Iron Man. Mm-hmm. It's Favreau who comes in and tries to salvage Iron Man 2 from what it was. Favreau did so much with the MCU. Who gets all the credit today? Kevin Feige. Well, and what is Favreau's job now with Marvel? He comes in to play happy sometimes. And he does this for both franchises where he's been relegated into, you'll do what we tell you to after you do the genius thing that we could not do.
He is an amazingly talented, amazingly gracious man for putting up with some of this stuff. But, you look at Marvel, and the core problem with Marvel, I know we're talking mostly Star Wars here, is, okay, here's what we're going to do. We'll build it up to a point where this guy wipes out a third of the human race, including all the heroes, and completely they find a big finale. Now what?
Right.
Now
what?
You're
exactly right.
Nobody ever thought of now what? Nobody ever thought of, but there is another.
So here's the thing about the Mando story and the now what, Lou, and I'm going to bring in a guy who has an opinion on this that folks are demanding be put on the screen, and I support them. The problem with The Mandalorian is that the biggest part of the story already happened. The biggest part of the story was when Luke takes Grogu, what happens next? And they decided that not in The Mandalorian Grogu, but in a throwaway crossover episode of The Book of Boba Fett, a horrible show. And what was the answer to that? After 5 minutes, Grogu said, I want to go dad, except he didn't say it because he can't speak because he's a Muppet, a speechless Muppet. Now, that said, then season 3 and maybe this movie are all, now what? We don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go now. But firing Gina Carano certainly did help. Let's go to the guy who has an opinion that we must hear in terms of, will Jon Favreau pull off anything here, or is it Dave Filoni's show? Here he is, the myth, the man, the legend.
I want to hear it.
Not right now.
Yes, now, Dusty Bun.
Wait. Okay.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Did you just
Lauren,
watch The Rise of Skywalker again?
We told you not to.
You guys are killing me. You're
Tell me why.
absolutely killing me.
What have we done, Lauren?
First of all, no, the answer is not go bigger. Going bigger is the absolute problem with Star Wars right now.
So my idea for 2 Death Stars is not what we should do.
What made Star Wars work was actually the fact that George Lucas had limitations that he could not push back against. It forced him to get creative and focus on the characters. What you need is new characters that people get excited about, who are a natural handoff from the old characters. And to do that, you have to start small. The other thing, and this is what I think they're actually doing with The Mandalorian and Grogu, you're dealing with a story about Imperial warlords. If you want to try and fix what they have right now, this existed in the old EU. They had the Imperial warlords that were each carving out sections of the galaxy. They had become rampaging menaces. If I wanted to fix what they have done so far, the biggest thing they need to fix is Thrawn. How do you do that? You remove the rivals that are each eating up resources within what's left of the Imperial remnant. You stop bringing attention to the Imperial remnant, and you consolidate what's left of the fleet under one leader. These bounties, this deck of cards of all of the Imperial warlords that the Colonel character of Sigourney Weaver, who do you suppose is supplying that information? If it were me and I wanted to make him look smart, it'd be Thrawn. So what you do is you have the Mandalorian take out all of your rivals and you suck up what's left of their fleets to consolidate them under your rule for an assault on the Republic under a military genius. That's how you try and fix the brokenness that they have right now. Are they going to do that? I don't know, but I think that may be the direction they're leaning. Remember, the information that is being fed to them is also through the Hutts. We know the Hutts are criminals. We know that the Hutts deal with everybody. And that's how this information could be filtered through the Republic without having a direct tie to Thrawn or the Empire. And that sets you up for what you want to do next. The idea of going bigger is exactly what has killed this thing. Eventually you get so big you have no stakes anymore. And that's what happened in The Rise of Skywalker. You've got to go smaller, and you've got to deal with characters.
And will they do that, Lauren? Do you think they will execute well on this movie?
On The Mandalorian and Grogu?
Yeah.
I think it depends on what they do. I think that it needs to be fun. First of all, it can't feel like homework, which is a big problem that they've had by saturating the market with all of this extra stuff. And Favreau's been addressing that in the interviews where he's been doing promotion for the movie. He's talking about how part of the juggling that they have to do is acting as a story that people who are familiar with the universe will buy into, while also appealing to people that don't have familiarity with the universe. It can be a stepping on point for them. That's what A New Hope had to do when George was first introducing the galaxy. Can he do that effectively? That's a hard tightrope to walk, but he managed to do it with The Mandalorian and bring in people who were not prior Star Wars fans. So I give more credence to his ability to do it than I do a lot of the other creators. It all depends on how they execute.
So here's what I would suggest, Lauren, and you tell me what you think about it, and we'll wrap this conversation up. And anybody else can weigh in if they'd like to, but Lauren, I would feel far better about the direction of Star Wars right now if they just canceled Ahsoka Season 2. Because I actually think that it's beyond redemption at this point. I thought the first season was terrible. I don't think they can write Thrawn. I think they need Timothy Zahn to help them. They don't seem to want Timothy Zahn to help them. And I think that any attempt to retroactively go back and explain the First Order, I don't think people want that. I just think people want to forget the sequel trilogy or completely destroy it. That's
I agree.
what they should do.
I agree with you. I think that touching the First Order and all of that stuff would be a tremendous mistake. The problem that they have there is that they have already tacitly done so through The Mandalorian Season 3, because they were showing the Imperial Council that Gideon was talking about, and they directly referenced Project Necromancer. Now, I think there are ways you may be able to sideline that story or redirect it in a way that doesn't result in the First Order and what happens in the sequel trilogy. I don't think they're brave or bold enough to do that. So the smartest thing that they could do right now, I think, is just don't mention it. Don't talk about it. Don't breadcrumb it. Leave it alone. Shut up. Do what you're doing with the promotions right now, which is no sequel trilogy merchandise, no sequel trilogy references. Just talk about the stuff that people actually like.
And that's what we've seen. The merchandise for May the 4th is all original trilogy. There's nothing sequel trilogy in any of that merchandise weeks ahead. And we've also seen them basically kind of scrub Pedro. He's off the scene.
Pro, I don't know if you've covered the Spirit Jersey situation that's going on, but what's happening right now is they've got this mystery box Spirit Jersey promotion where you buy a mystery box Spirit Jersey and it's a jersey for one of the movies 1 through 6. They did not put the sequel trilogy in with the rest of the movies.
They know how unpopular it is. They know they've got the Disney Plus stats. It must have almost zero viewership, and people are still watching the original trilogy.
If you're buying a $70 mystery box and there's a 1/3 chance you're getting a sequel in there,
right? You won't buy. Oh, what a great point! What a great point.
I see Hawaii Dragon Star also saying they cannot save Star Wars. Thrawn isn't a chicken gay. Without a good devious Thrawn, Star Wars cannot be saved. That's a super chat for 5. I agree. I think that's why, if I'm right, what they're doing with the Mandalorian and Grogu is trying to address the Thrawn as an idiot situation from Ahsoka Season 1. If it looks like the Mandalorian has done a good job by cleaning up these Imperial warlords and they're making the New Republic safer, and then you have a coda at the end that reveals in actuality this all worked to Thrawn's benefit so that he could consolidate the Imperial remnant under his control, he suddenly starts looking a little bit smarter. Now, they'll have to be careful with how they do that, and it will have to lead to something else that's better. I'm not sure if they're brave enough to do that yet either, because I think they're confused about how to move forward. But if I were consulting them, that's the first place that you start.
Sequel trilogy's got to go. There are not enough fans for it to matter. There will be outrage on some of the woke websites, and then that will go away, because that is killing a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Set aside your hubris, set aside your egos, Disney. Let it go. Like what Indy's dad tells him when he's reaching down there, and he's about to fall down into the abyss. Let it go, Junior. Filoni, let it go. Well, folks, we've come to the end of another video of pure excellence and fun. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. That's what we hope you believe we've just done. And why should you believe it? Well, because we've done our very best to make it so, to be true, to be factual, and to do what the mainstream so-called access journalists simply won't. Folks, you can help share this out across the fruited plains of YouTube by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, as we get ready to say sayonara for now, we ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep having fun.